What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back with another video, and today we're going to be looking at the NHL standings from this past season and maybe get an idea of who might make the playoffs this year. I'm probably going to do this month and then probably next month for the beginning of the season give my full-on predictions. For now, there will be a bit of predicting, but it probably won't be all set in stone. I kind of want to leave that to you guys as well. So while I'm discussing this and you guys are looking at numbers, because I'll put it up on the screen, make sure you guys comment down below who you think will make the playoffs. Maybe a team that missed the playoffs last year that can make it, and which teams will fall out, because that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this one. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe. I'd love to have more hockey conversations with you. Join the squad. Let's try to get to 4,000 subscribers. So there'll be links down below for you to check out as well for like t-shirts. And if you want to use my promo code for SeatGeek, use code APH in all caps. You get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. I'll give you more details at the end of the video as well for that. So let's just look at the West first. So we're going to take a look at the playoff which teams made the playoffs last season and which teams missed out. So obviously in the West, in the Central, you had Nashville, Winnipeg, and Minnesota. In the Pacific, you had Vegas, Anaheim, and San Jose. And the wildcard teams were the LA Kings and the Colorado Avalanche. Now, the teams that missed out, as you can see, are St. Louis, Dallas, Calgary, Edmonton, Chicago, Vancouver, and Arizona. So let's just kind of have a general conversation about the West, because there's a ton of competition out there, and I only expect it to get better this season. There's a lot of great teams that will probably be in the playoffs, or should be in the playoffs, for this upcoming season. So based off of what has happened this offseason, I figured it'd be cool to just talk about maybe which teams could stay in their position or get knocked out in favor of another team. And like I said, it's really tough. When I was preparing this video, I thought, there's so many good teams. I just don't know how many teams will really fall out. Like, some of these teams are really going to have to push to get spots. So Nashville, I mean, they're almost guaranteed in my eyes. Their team is way too good to not make the playoffs, so I would imagine Nashville will probably stay in a playoff position, maybe even in the same position, although I do think Winnipeg could be that #1 team in the Central. So I think those two are locks for sure. When it comes to Minnesota, they did have a good season last year, but with the emergence of some other teams, I think that they could get knocked out just as easy as some of these other teams that missed the playoffs. I just think that Minnesota is probably going to take a step back. Some people might disagree with me. I mean, Devan Dubnyk is going to have to really have a good year. He didn't have his best season, although he was pretty decent. I really do think Minnesota could be a team that gets taken out. When it comes to the Pacific division, Vegas, I mean, guys, I think Vegas is going to take a step back. And this is the reason why I say that. I was completely wrong about my playoff prediction with them, obviously, this past season. They went all the way to the Cup final, and I basically had them out of a playoff picture altogether. A lot of players on that team had career years. And let's not forget the fact that some of their key players have moved on. Obviously, guys like Neal and Perron. They did pick up Stastny, and, you know, they've got some young forwards that are probably going to come up and do good things. I mean, Theodore looks great. Glass is going to look great. Of course, they've got just a solid team. William Karlsson is going to have to repeat his production, though. You're going to have to look for Stastny to put up some big numbers. If he regresses a little bit, that's not going to look good. Marchessault, all these guys, Haula, like, they had, like, pretty much everybody on that Vegas team had a career year. And Marc-Andre Fleury is great, but if he slips up, if he gets injured, if he gets sick, whatever, all these backup goalies are not going to have the same luck as last year. And I know some of them are pretty good, but you got to really bank on Marc-Andre Fleury being healthy and playing like he did the past season, because he was really good. Vegas is very, like, I think that they could be borderline missing out, or they could make the playoffs again barely. I really don't think they're going to be at the top again. And that's not dissing them. I just mean because there's so many other good teams. A lot of people think Anaheim will take a step back. I don't think they will. I think their spot will be pretty much almost the exact same. Maybe not as many points. Like, maybe they'll be that third spot, but I do think that they'll be up there. San Jose, again, this is a team that just finds ways to win. They've got a great team. Burns always is going to be fantastic. They have Evander Kane for a full season coming up. Pavelski, Couture. They have a great team. Hurdle. the team's filled with great people. Vlasic, I mean, Martin Jones in goal. This team's a playoff team. Can't see them slipping out. So Vegas, maybe. And then when it comes to the wild card, Los Angeles, obviously, they picked up Kovalchuk. Their team is, still pretty good. They've still got Jonathan Quick, who's a fantastic goaltender. I can't imagine they would fall out of the playoffs. I think that they'll probably still be a wild card team. When it comes to Colorado, I just think other teams got a lot better. Colorado did get a bit better in my eyes when it comes to their structure. Some of their young guys are getting better. McKinnon has really just taken another step in his career. You're going to have to get more production from your depth forwards. Let's see if maybe they're close this year, if they figure they should, add some players to some of these teams. Because that's the thing, like come deadline time, obviously far away from now, some of these teams are going to get drastically better if they make a huge trade. But at this point, I think I could see Colorado and maybe Vegas falling out in favor of a team like St. Louis, because I think that St. Louis got a lot better this offseason. I don't know how they miss out a playoff spot this season. In my eyes, I think that they got better. Although, the goaltending situation, I think that it's really good. But of course, losing Hutton to the Sabres, that could maybe take a bit of a hit for their backup position or whatever. But I think St. Louis definitely got much better when it comes to their depth and forwards as well. And their defense, of course, pretty good. They've got some young guys there led by Parayko, of course. Dallas is another team. This one, I think they're going to miss out again. I'm not sure if they're going to make it. I just don't know how to read them at this point. And that Sagan contract is probably something that they're going to want to focus on. Calgary is a team I'd really like to see make it. I think that I'll have another video on Calgary. I'm not sure if we're going to be reviewing every team before the season starts, but Calgary is a team that I definitely like to look at because I think that they definitely have a shot to make the playoffs, and with the huge moves that they've made, they kind of have to. Within the next couple of years, they have to do something because I think people are just going to get frustrated because this team, they traded a lot of assets away, like especially first-round picks and, late picks and stuff like that. They got rid of a lot, so they're going to have to be better. Edmonton is a team that I could totally see sliding back into a playoff spot, but again, from what I was talking about, there might only be one, maybe... No, sorry, there'll be probably two in my eye spots that will be available, maybe three if Vegas falls hard. But I honestly think Colorado and Minnesota, in my eyes, will be the teams that fall out, and I could be completely wrong. But, I mean, Edmonton's got to look at that and go, damn, we got to get back into a playoff spot. Chicago is going to have to play much better this season. I honestly think Chicago is going to be back to their winning ways. At the top of the division, no, I think they'll be a wild card team. They have a shot to be a wild card team. Vancouver and Arizona are definitely not making the playoffs this season, but I expect Arizona to be a pretty decent team. I think that they're going to be underrated. They've added quite a bit this season. The Galchenyuk trade was good. Obviously, they made some moves in free agency as well, Grabner being one of those guys. They've just got a pretty decent team. And what's his name? Herman Stroza? I could be wrong. I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but they've definitely made some good moves for their depth especially. But for me personally, when it comes to the West, I think Minnesota, probably Colorado, and maybe Vegas will slip out of their spots. And people are going to hate me for saying Vegas. It's a prediction, but you have to keep in mind, a lot of people, if not 99% of that Vegas team, had like career years. So it's going to be hard for them to duplicate the magic that they had last season. So we'll have to see. Let me know what you guys think about the West, but let's just move over to the East. For the Metro, of course, you've got Washington, the defending Stanley Cup champions, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia. I would expect those three to be the teams that probably stay in those positions. I think Philly got better too, adding James Van Riemsdyk, of course. They added a lot more scoring. For me, still, goaltending might be a little bit of an issue for them. Pittsburgh, they're just going to keep winning. I mean, they're even looking to add more right now. Like, wouldn't it be hilarious if they ended up with Pacioretty? I don't think it's possible, but, I mean, Pittsburgh shocked everybody when they got Kessel. They just keep adding. Then they got Brassard. I don't think anybody would really be shocked if they made another huge move. I know their cap is pretty tight, but they'll probably make a corresponding move if they had to. Like I said, Washington, defending Stanley Cup champions. I see all three of those teams as teams that are going to stay in, not teams that are going to stay in. The Atlantic, Boston, Tampa, Toronto, it's hard to really argue against those three. I'm pretty sure all three of them will probably be back in playoff positions as well. The order could be mixed around. I personally think Tampa's going to take the division again. I think Toronto will be second. I think Boston will be third. The wild card last season was Columbus and New Jersey. This season, it's going to be very difficult. There's some teams that got a lot better. Out of the 6 teams that made it, like Washington, Pittsburgh, Philly, Tampa, Boston, Toronto, like those main 6 teams right there, I can't see any of them not making the playoffs, and I don't think any of them are wildcard teams. Maybe Philadelphia, depending on health situations. I actually would probably slide Philadelphia as the first wildcard spot, although I do think they'll be very good this season. When it comes to Tampa, Boston, Toronto, I don't think anybody's going to be competing with them when it comes to those top 3 spots. Columbus and New Jersey. Now, New Jersey to me is going to be probably in one of those wildcard spots, but it's hard to imagine that some of these other teams won't be getting better. Like Buffalo is not a playoff team, but they're definitely going to be better. Some people will argue that they're a playoff team. I think they're going to miss out just by a couple points. So I think they'll be drastically better, of course. Ottawa, definitely going to be bad. Montreal with a healthy Price, healthy Weber. You never know on what kind of runs they could go on, but they made some questionable moves, and if Pacioretty goes as well, I mean, you're getting rid of more scoring, so I'm not sure they're going to be that much better this season. Detroit is going to be a pretty decent team, but they're not going to make the playoffs. Same with the Rangers. I'd put them in that same boat. The Islanders, I think, are going to get much worse. Losing Tavares is 100% a kick in the nuts for them. If you don't like that terminology, sorry, that's the first thing that came to mind, but it's definitely not good for them. They're probably not happy. The fans aren't either. They made some really questionable trades and some signings. I mean, Lou Lamoriello was brought in there to like save the franchise. I'm not positive that getting Leo Komarov was the best option for them. You're going to have to put a lot of pressure on Barzal, guys like Anders Lee, Beauvillier. Like there's a lot of guys there that are going to have to take on a lot more responsibility. Robin Lehner's not a great starting goaltender in my eyes. Greiss could still get a ton of playing time. So I don't think the Islanders are going to be that much better. I think they're going to be probably a lot worse. Carolina is a team that still confuses me. I'm not sure why, they've had to make all these moves and are like, oh, we need to trade Falk next. Like, I think that because of the fact that they were literally like not a playoff team, but they're, in my eyes, a couple pieces away from being at least competitive when it comes to making the playoffs. They've made some weird moves, although they did pick up like Dougie Hamilton. They got Calvin DeHaan. Like, they've made some good moves. Their blue line is fantastic. They're probably going to need more scoring. Of course, they got rid of Skinner. They need more depth there, but it looks like they're a team that is kind of in the middle. They're not sure if they're competing or not, in my eyes. So they'll be a question mark. Florida is a team this year that could be good. The Hoffman addition, I'm not a big fan of him as a person, but he's a fantastic player, one of the best shots in the league. I think that Florida's a team that could slide into a playoff spot. So out of those teams, I honestly think Philadelphia is probably still going to be a wild card. Pittsburgh, Washington are probably still going to be a playoff team. Tampa, Boston, Toronto probably as well. And Columbus could slide out. I can't see it, but maybe the wild card teams are the only thing that changes. Although it would be difficult to see either one of those teams get out as well. But Florida and Carolina, to me, would be the teams to look out for to probably get in there. And it's not much of a surprise because of the fact that this is basically how the standings went last season. But a lot of teams that are, these teams that made the playoffs got even stronger. And I think that the West could see more change than the East. But let me know what you guys think about this video. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. Love to have more hockey conversations with you. Sorry, I just hit the camera. Join the squad. Let's get to 4,000 subscribers. If you want to leave your predictions down below, we will be doing this again next month. So if anything, you could come back and check your comment from this video and then compare it when we do the next one next month. And I will make a full list in the next video giving my final predictions for the season and who will end up where. I'll be doing that in September before the season starts, maybe around preseason. Also, if you're watching this far, I will be at one of the first Leafs preseason game at the Scotiabank Arena. If that's what they're calling it, the Scotiabank Center. I think it's the Scotiabank Arena. I'll be there. It's still the ACC to me. Air Canada Centre. It's my home away from home, but I will be at that game, so if you are going, let me know down below as well. And if there's tickets, why don't you grab some? I mean, maybe there'll be some other YouTubers there. I'm trying to get some more to go, but that would be cool. Also, like I said earlier, with SeatGeek, if you use the code APH in all caps, you can get $20 off your first purchase, and you can get concert tickets, game tickets, maybe preseason tickets for the Leafs game that I was just talking about. Definitely check that out because they'll show you what the best tickets are on that site as well. If you want to buy a t-shirt, the link is down below. I lowered the price. I'm going to try to see if I can get it a little lower, but I think it's like $16 American and like 20 Canadian. So if you guys want to buy a shirt, that'd be awesome. And again, click the notification bell. I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Peace.